Hi everybody and welcome to SA Rugby. I'm Kevin Ferguson. I've got James Dalton, he's Team Springbok, Mark Keohane, you know what that is?
Yeah, not at all.
Book writer.
Well, good afternoon, gentlemen.
You know, the guy that called alongside your Bulls victory. Good enough for me.
Yeah.
Sorry, what does that matter?
A blow ball, yet nie van die vloer af nie.
It's kind of par for the course, isn't it? In a year that's mad and crazy and doesn't make sense. You've got a game that had a thunderstorm that delayed it by about 30-40 minutes. I don't know what the exact length of the delay was, and then a draw. What did you think of the game? I mean, there's a lot of column inches being written about Currie and Bosch. Congratulations to Jake and the Bulls. I really didn't care who won the game, to be honest. I just wanted a decent spectacle, and it really wasn't that great. I mean, finals seldom are, you know.
Yeah, I think it got to. It's like it's the match and the season just competition that just didn't want to end.
Yeah.
It got to 99 minutes when it was effectively decided. I'm glad that the game kind of continued and it wasn't one of those that was decided on a log position, because you had points carried over from Super Rugby unlocked where games weren't even played. And the drama was there from the last 10 minutes of regulation time, and then obviously extra time. You had Chris Smith, who I was surprised that Jake yanked Mornestein on 75 minutes in a game that tied 19-16. He then leveled it up 19-all. Had a kick that he ordinarily you'd think he would make, given his career strike rate's 86%, but pressure, the coaches tell you those goalposts go from there to there, and he kind of was never going to kick that one, and he had a drop goal which was a freebie because it was on the penalty advantage, and then into extra time we went. I think the Bulls would have been at that stage feeling we just wanted to get to a point of 19-all and we'll take it into the extra 20 minutes, and I think their altitude did become a factor. And I just felt, I mean, geez, the Sharks were brave, but I just felt the better team did win the final, and they were the best and most consistent team over the last 6 months in South Africa. But one of those kind of finals that you felt if there was 50,000 people at Loftus, it would have been quite electric in that last 10 minutes.
Absolutely.
Because you could just, it's the first time I felt there was a bit of intensity and a nail-biting finish when it got into that last 10 minutes. And the more the score didn't move, the more I think the Sharks kept on thinking, well, we're going to take this. Somehow we're handing in here, and we're going to take it. Given they had made, I mean, the Bulls had made 39 tackles in 90 minutes, which shows you the dominance they had in the game, but wasn't reflected on the scoreboard.
That's an unreal stat.
Yeah, and I mean, got a wonderful a message from James after the game. I mean, you can just retell that message about what you felt on 80 minutes and what you felt on 90 minutes and what you felt on 100.
Well, look, on 80 minutes, I felt
everything you said was
quite stimulated.
Well, just remind
Thank
you, you'd said that the Sharks would win 19-15.
That's correct.
Which was pretty damn close.
When he got the Sharks score, 19, he said Marco van Staden would be a walking liability with his penalties. He was.
He was nowhere.
He said it would be the battle of the fly-offs in the sense of in terms of kicking. It was. If the game was played over 80 minutes, you would have been spot on. But sometimes the finals played over 100.
But how's this? You know, the thing that was so dominant and prevalent in both of these teams' successes was their kickers, and in this final, they were the negative contribution to the teams. You know, with the pressure of having to kick over every single opportunity at goal.
Let me ask you guys a question. Is the criticism that Currie and Bosch is coming in for justified?
I don't think so at all. You know, I think again his strength became his weakness.
Correct.
It's everyone after that performance at Newlands, everyone expected him to kick everything from 65 meters, and now they say he doesn't have BMT. You know, that conversion he kicked,
Or maybe 70.
that conversion kick from the wrong side into that wind. It was just a magnificent kick. He kicked one penalty, which on the angle would be close to 70 meters.
Yeah.
Two of them that he missed went over by about 10. He wasn't missing by much. When he did have a drop goal as well, the one was on the run. It was like any drop goal attempt from 60, 50 meters is a gimme. Yeah. If it goes over, it's a bonus. And there was one we had a poor decision. But I felt him and Mornestein did what they could have done under the circumstances.
And kicking, you know, the air is heavier and thicker. And
it had rained for 8 days in a row there, so that it wasn't the Loftus dry, high felt in. It's rugby played in January, which is normally never played. I just felt that it wasn't Currie Bosch's fault that they lost the final, that it would have been a magnificent display had they won it because of him, because of where he took all his kicks from.
So he could have won it for them, but he didn't lose it for them.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, he didn't lose it for them. He could have won it.
Well, I mean, essentially, if you know, they say the hypothetical if he got those kicks over, even 80% of them, the Bulls would have lost the game.
Yes, no, so I think what Kevin's saying is there's 21 points he left on the field, but in the context of where those 21 points would have come, he then had the potential to win it.
Sure.
But they didn't lose because
Absolutely.
Currie Bosch missed 4 kicks from in front of the post and fluffed his lines.
Yeah.
You know, if you saw in that game, there were some big moments. I thought the Bulls were in absolute control at 9-6 on 39 minutes. An innocuous kind of restart that you think. Mornestein sticks it out on the full. They get the scrum and score, and it's 13-9, and the complexion of the game changes. 16-9, they then kind of bring it back to 16-all. 19-16, and all of a sudden you start thinking these guys believe they can win this thing now. And the Bulls started, you could see it. I mean, Dwayne Vermeulen said it afterwards. There were moments where there was doubt creeping in. Hell, we're not actually going to win this thing. And then they got it back to that 9-2, and I just felt it doesn't matter what people say. If you've been training at sea level all the time, and the Sharks had travelled to Cape Town, back to Durban, and then back to Pretoria for the final, their legs were just gone in that last 5-6 minutes, where the Bulls did force 6 successive penalty advantages before they got into a position to score the try. And you said it before we started the show. I just felt the packs, and there's something you alluded to also, both of you did in the build-up to it. The Bulls did have the more dynamic pack, and their changes that came on.
Well, that for me, Mark and Kevin, that for me was the deciding factor. Is Jake substituting the time he did? Because that was where the game actually turned. The replacements were equally as good as the starting players, and they were able to get that ascendancy, that slow choke over the Sharks over those last 20 minutes. And then there were 2 decisive moments. Noche, that knock on off the kickoff in his own 22. All of a sudden now the Sharks are under pressure. They concede, I think, 3 points. And then the kickoff, the Sharks kick off deep with the penalty, tackling the man in the air. Because that's where the Bulls then, from in their own 22, built all that ascendancy and forward dominance, which led to the 7-point drive at the end. So it was 2 significant momentary errors that just negated all the kicks at goal. But those 2 moments for me is where the Sharks lost that game.
And again, when you look at finals, we always talk about where someone's made a mistake, and that's kind of decisive. So Bosch still kicked 14 points, so he kept them in that final. Mornestein, from that failed Bosch drop kick, caught the ball on the run and spiral torpedoed it 80 meters downfield. From that line out, there was an infringement. They got a penalty, and so we tend to forget the good things a lot of players did in the game because it came down to a knock-on, and that is pressure finals,
we're living in a world where human nature tends to criticise rather than celebrate. And it is, after all, a rugby final. Currie Bosch can hold his head up high, in my humble opinion. He's had a great season. He's really put his hand up, and he can't be blamed.
No, and again, let's compare apples with apples. And there's a 3-week break, then we go into the Rainbow Cup, and we'll be playing against most of the pro rugby teams. And then, Munster against the Bulls, Leinster against the Province or the Sharks, home and away. Let's then make an informed decision and say our rugby is turgid, we're off the pace at the moment. But it may be that we play those teams. Physically, we do dominate them up front. Our backs look like $1 million again, and all of a sudden, it's like different competition demands different skill sets. Sure. And I do believe that as one-dimensional as a lot of our rugby was, and it wasn't a great spectacle the whole season. There's been so many circumstances around it. No crowds, playing in December, January for the first time ever for our players in these conditions. Water breaks at 20 minutes because of the heat. From a mindset point of view, they would have been coming off a their pre-season, starting their pre-season, playing a match with four chuckers
do
of
you
15
guys,
minutes
just
each.
to throw something up in the air, do you think us going into this pro competition, what's it, 16?
Or the Rainbow Cup, yeah.
The Rainbow Cup, that it's going to be more for us to adjust to their conditions than for them to come and adjust to drier conditions?
Well, I think that the home advantage is going to be greater in this competition for both teams, because they have to adjust. The North has to adjust to the South African conditions, and certainly the South Africans have to adjust to the Northern Hemisphere conditions. So I think that there's equal weight to home advantage for both hemispheres. I think the timing of this thing is not great. It's a competition for the sake of a competition, but I understand why it's being done. So it's again, I'm not enjoying sport. I'm not enjoying sports with empty crowds, and certainly from a betting point of view.
Well, I'm not enjoying bars without a double JB in my hand, Kevin. So
Our bar's still open. But if you you talk about that crowd thing, and watching the highlights last night of Liverpool against West Ham, they showed Mo Salah's second goal, and then they showed 2017 he scored an identical goal on the counter from a corner, and there was one to an empty stadium, and one to a packed stadium, and you just looked at those two, and one looked like $1 million and the other one looked like a training run drill. And we've been saying it for the last year. 11 on 11, 12 on 12, 15 on 15 is a sports match. When there's 50,000 people there, it's an occasion. And again, I've looked at our whole Currie Cup and felt it's lacked occasion for
all those elements, mate,
because many a game has been won in a playoff because a crowd gets behind a team. Who's not to say that Province wouldn't have been in the final had there been 50,000 people at Newlands for that semi-final.
But I think it's so many of those moving parts and those different elements that add to the spectacle, the quality of the game, the quality of the players' performances, the overall product. It's like if you walk past a mannequin in a window that wasn't dressed up, would you look at it? You look at the mannequin that had the Gucci dress on.
Well, the Louis Vuitton
bag.
I don't know how we've done the Gucci mannequin.
Exactly.
Well, I'm saying, anything dressed up is always more appealing.
Look, what I am grateful for is that we got an unlock competition. We got a full Currie Cup competition, the Carling Currie Cup, which is the first time, I think, for a sponsor also to come in and have to have that kind of competition in their first year. And credit to the Bulls for winning both competitions. I think Jake's win percentage with them is 75%. Before he took over in the year, it had been 17% for the Bulls.
Sorry, let me tell you. So I tried to phone Jake last night.
Really?
Yeah, Rassi and I were on the phone having a chat about the final and the game and whatever. So Jake's name came up. So I said, Ahmed, you know what? Have you got his number? I'd actually like to give him a call. And guess what? Jake never answered my call.
Why am I surprised?
Well, you know what? I wanted to actually be the better, bigger man and say, you know what? Congratulations.
Yeah.
I was one of your biggest critics, maybe from a personality point of view, than your coaching abilities. And say to him, well done. And as Mark said, to Carling Black Label to come in and allow us to host one of our traditional premier tournaments is commendable.
Yeah, and look, first winning 10 years for the Bulls. And the last time they won the Currie Cup, 2009, Mornay Steyn was at Flav. And he's kind of traveled the world, played for Start for 5 years. For him to be there at 36 and winning another one and he's third, I thought it was a special moment. Dwayne's leadership, special as well. And again, a victory for transformation in this country. 9 black players starting under the 15 for the Sharks and going toe-to-toe with the best of the Bulls could offer. It just shows you how far we have come in certain aspects of the game.
Well done to Edward Coetzee.
Yeah, Edward Coetzee, and there's some amazing things going on there. They've got the overseas investment. They've aligned with Rock Nation. They're about a team that constantly says we see colour and diversity because that's the only way we turn it into a strength. And I just felt that they were that close to causing an upset, and they really did come good in the playoffs in terms of what we saw in that Sharks team in the early part of the original Super Rugby. And I'm not as kind of despondent as a lot of people are. I think when the real tests come, when we go north and when the Springboks play again, we'll see just how strong our rugby is. And we've got some bloody good players who have been playing some sensational rugby overseas. Faf de Klerk's playing well. Damien Delandy's playing well. There's a hell of a lot of players who are just playing well.
If you take all that if you take all that individual talent and you combine them in the best in each position, yes, the story will certainly look and read a lot.
And we won in the world, and our ranking's never been stronger.
But you know what really pisses me off is that we have this leadership in this country and worldwide, for that matter, where we have empty stadiums. Yet they allow the rage thing to go ahead in Durban. I know I'm off topic here, but it's infuriating for me now to be watching these empty stadiums, where you can't even you can get 2,000 people together for a rage and allow it. And of course everybody gets COVID from it, but you can't put 2,000 or 3,000 people in a stadium spaced out with masks.
What's infuriating is being at a shopping centre on Saturday or Sunday and the thousands of people that were in there.
Yeah.
But as you say, they couldn't have 5,000 people in a Currie Cup final.
Yeah.
It's a bit like the beach, and I know we're going off topic, but in Australia they had an hotel rule. I mean, you don't go to the beach with your towel and suntan, but you can walk your dog, you can go running, and you can actually
Can I take my beach ball with me?
Excuse me?
I'll take my beach ball with me.
Oh, you can.
If you
Can't take your towel.
No, but it's crazy, and what amazes me, there's no outrage from fans or people. You know, it's got to stop.
It does, eh? But going back to the rugby, the Bulls to take the Rainbow Cup, and then they've done the trifecta.
Wow.
A trifecta.
Can you imagine
there
that?
will never be another Rainbow Cup, from what I understand.
What is this? What's the structure of that, Mark? Is it everybody plays everybody, or is it?
No. It's two groups.
Two groups of eight. Yeah.
So there's 7 matches you play.
Yeah.
And our South African team. So there's 2 South African teams will be in each pool.
Yeah.
They'll go over and play 3 matches over there.
Yeah.
3 here and 1 against the South African team. Top 2 teams play a final.
Well, you know, I'm excited about that. I know it's the wrong time to launch a competition, but you've got to. If you look in Canada and America in the NHL, they've created 5 different leagues now. All the Canadian teams play in Canada. They're not allowed. They don't allow Americans into Canada, readily. So the Canadians are every league, even the NBA. You know, when they travel, they play 3 games at home and often play back-to-back games against the same team to minimize the traveling and stuff. So every team, every league in the world is making allowances for and trying to fit in the best protocol to how to deal with
in this
COVID.
Extraordinary times you do extraordinary things. So the people need to see the purpose of this tournament is that pro rugby will continue as it is. This is a knockout tournament that's being played parallel to pro rugby, but it's to prepare our guys for the international season. So we would have had no rugby now up until, so this will run from April to June. Then we have our international season that runs for those 3 months, and then the new pro rugby that has the 4 South African teams in it. Yeah. That new competition will come into effect around September or October. And I think, and then it's
hopefully we'll have some normality there.
Yeah, but I think it does give our players a little that hint and that taste of international competition before we go into the national season. I'm looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to the variety, different styles, different teams, and I think you'll see the Irish teams also playing some of their stronger sides in that competition because they have to. It's not going to be a case of Munster can send their second stringers to South Africa because they're playing the kids. They'll be playing tough sides when they get here. So I'm more than confident that we will do well in that competition, and I think it's the best move our rugby could have made. And we still get to play New Zealand, Australia every year in the Rugby Championship. We don't lose that, and this is where the future of the game is commercially and just from a spectator point of view. And it's a 1 hour time difference if you go to the UK when there is a form of normality. Hopefully by next year.
Well, I think just
2 hours,
depending on the time of the year.
I think just the European sides simply, in my opinion, are strong and will be stronger because they have so many South Africans in there.
Yeah, certainly, I agree. And
to be honest with you,
when you look at the Super Rugby in its heyday, it's had it, and I won't miss getting up at 6 or 7 in the morning to watch Brisbane play the Sharks, or I remember when I first came to this country, everybody was fascinated with Super Rugby, and most people would get up in the morning if the Lions were playing or the Bulls were playing over there. It was, you know, it was quite the competition. But it's not been a competition for many years. I'm excited about a simple format, going north, being able to watch at decent times, and having incoming touring parties. So, you know, I'm excited about it because we'll be able to study some form and get some gauge on it and see and make some money at it as well, betting. So let's look forward to the Rainbow Cup. Congratulations to Jake and Dwayne and all the guys from the
And to
Bulls.
Monet on his 100th or his 101.
No, and unlucky to the
and
Sharks
first.
and all the Shark supporters out there because you're very unlucky, and yeah, you guys can hold your heads up high.
Thanks, Kev.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Gabe. Thank you, Mark.